Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark Coral Reef Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Drone Camera Focus Puller Cluett. And this is... I just scrolled to a random credit and read it. And this is Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, where... This is Deep Blue Sea 3, Chapter 11. What happens in Deep Blue Sea 3, Chapter 11? Not a great deal. It's credits. We have 7 minutes and 14 seconds of credits. The first 100 seconds of those have some ocean behind them. The remaining, however long it is, have nothing behind them. It's credits. That's all we got. And to make it even better, no guest. Just me and Mark. We're just gonna hang out, talk about the credits, see what else comes up.
Well, I think it's fitting because you and I had the first episode together where we talked about Deep Blue Sea, just me and you.
Yep.
And now this is we're continuing on when Deep Blue Sea 4 comes out. We're going to talk about more shark movies, more Renny Harlin movies. But it's fitting. It's just me and you on this, talking about scrolling names. It reminds me of that movie, The Suicide Squad, where it's like, your name is just letters. And he's like, every name is letters. So yeah, we're just talking about scrolling letters, a good bop, some nice coral reef, some fish. That's all I need in life.
Okay, I really like The Suicide Squad. And speaking of names and letters, they have a whole conversation in there about the name Milton. And people not being called Milton anymore. And I work with a Milton, so that just amused me that they had that whole, like, I talk to this guy most days. Like, I know a Milton, so that just amused me. It's nothing to do with Deep Blue Sea 3 Chapter 11, but there we are. So yeah, we have, I like the coral reef stuff. I like the fish swimming past. I'm a big fan of underwater photography and fish. This is cool. I wanted the whole thing to be this.
I learned our buddy Hunt Lowry, who. Well, not really buddy, but
he follows
he's
us
cool.
on Instagram.
He follows us. He likes our stuff. But yeah, Hunt was the production manager, on the second unit. So not only was he a producer, but he also helped out on second unit, which is historically my favorite unit to work on. Like that was, so it's a interesting phrase to say, but I love second unit because I don't know if you know this, but like I did Comic-Cons, and so I never wanted to do a full show. Like sometimes you're 3 months, 6 months, a year, 25. I would do indies like 21 days. I did a lot of pilots, which were 6-7 days. But you get on second units on movies, and you just get to blow stuff up, or you get to flip cars, or you just get shots of like cars driving through red lights. You get to, let's see, what else do you get to do? You just get to go off on smaller units, flip a couple cars. Your day is dropping 2 cars on the ground from a crane, drinking coffee, and standing under tents. And then about 14 minutes of work while you're waiting for the cars to drop, and then you got to clear everybody out. But second unit's where it's at, and I was happy that Hunt was part of that.
I don't have a favorite unit to work on. I've never worked on any kind of film production or units in terms of that, but I'm glad that you do.
One of my favorite all-time jobs I worked on Goosebumps, the Jack Black movie, which is a lot of fun. It's a wonderful movie. But I got called up by a friend, and he's like, hey, man, you want to work on this? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, yeah, we're just doing second unit. We're doing car gags and monsters and stuff, like ice rinks and stunts. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I got you. Like I had like a 3-week break in between Comic-Cons. So I went and signed up. You go get your lanyard. You get on the paper. You become staff. And he's like, yeah, it's out of town, and it's all nights. I was like, oh, my God. So
and pass.
Yeah, but I already signed up. You're good to your word. And so I went and did it. But it was really neat, man. Like, we flipped buses. We were on ice rinks doing gags. There's a lot of car gags. We had some serious rain. But it was kind of cool setting up all the cars and doing that. And I had one of the most stressful days when we blew up a bus. And then you have this, like, we had all the monsters on set. And we were really woefully unprepared. And this was my first time really working with a lot of monsters. I'd worked with extras before, but not monsters. And this is when I realized that, like, for every practical monster, so our zombies, they needed hair, makeup, eyes, teeth, ears, fingers, wardrobe. So those are all people working with them. And we had about 30 plus different monsters that all needed to be taken care of. And then there was no base camp down there. So in between those, I was running tents down, setting them up. You got to put coolers down because it was hot, like air conditioners. And so, but since we're such a smaller unit, there wasn't that much of us there. Normally on a bigger unit, we would have that. So by the end of the night, I was an absolute wreck. I was exhausted. I didn't get them all there on time, but it was such a valuable lesson for me further down the line that, like, I learned a lot that night. And I thought that was pretty cool. And actually, during some of the behind the scenes footage, you see me with all the monsters, and like someone's yelling at me, like, "Hey, Mark!" So then I like turn and I have to go walk over there. But that was cool. Like I was just so swamped out of my league working on it. And so now whenever I see second units, I always just think about like cool car gags and blowing stuff up, running red lights, flipping cars. You try to flip a bus, but then the bus doesn't flip till you got to come back the next day, and you think the bus is going to careen into base camp. It's cool. So I don't know. Seeing all the second unit stuff brought back good memories. And I also saw Darren Hoffmeyer's name again.
Hey.
Which Black Ginger, VFX, MVP, great human being, philanthropist, playboy, genius, billionaire.
Yeah, all those things.
That worked on this.
Every Hoffmeyer is. Nice. So I am always interested in the credits order, particularly the actors, what order they are displayed in. And so first off we have Tanya Raymond. Makes perfect sense. She's the lead of the film. Second build is Nathaniel Buzelik, Dr. Richard Lowell. I don't think he should be second. I think we should get Emerson Brooks and Bren Foster should both be above him. They are, in my opinion. What do you think?
That's interesting. Well, I think he has. I mean, I guess if you look at Instagram and the amount of followers that they have,
he has a phenomenal amount of followers.
2-point-something million. So I guess from a that sort of standpoint, from a social media standpoint, you want to have that person second, just to sort of keep them happy on the call sheet.
It could have been in his contract maybe that he have that billing perhaps. So it's he's at Nate Buzz on Instagram if anyone cares. So at Nate Buzz is second build, then Emerson Brooks, then Bren Foster, Eugene Shaw, Lucas, great. Then you got Mia and Spin, which absolutely fine. Then we have Bahari and Nandi, Brown, Shill, and Earls. Now, of those five, who's the one that you remember their scenes the most after this?
Earls.
Absolutely. He is last place on the list, but he is top place in our hearts and our minds and our memories after watching this film. He is the decapitated. He is the corpse who is pumped for the water chumming. He should be... of that list of five, I would... Well, at least of the three goons, the three mercenaries, he should be top of that list. And I would put... Brown's pretty memorable because you have half of Brown trundling along as a little DPV, and then Shill. I like Shill. Ernest Sinclair is good in the film, but as a character, he's less memorable. His death certainly is less memorable. He just gets taken out by Sally underwater.
Wait, Great White Sally.
Great White Sally. Yeah, Great White Sally. So I would say Earls, Brown, Shill is the order that I would have put them in. But then I think it's done just alphabetically by surname because it's Prashad Mayweather, Ernest Sinclair, DeVille Vanek.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair, but the amount of screen time that Earl's decapitated body has, it kind of warrants a number one spot.
Right. I think it's the same reason why Bahari Siamayola is credited above Nandi Avumile Gonkwo, which is because that's alphabetically again by surname.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. The alphabet's not fair sometimes.
I would love it if my name was like... Mark Aaron, Aaron. Like I would be first almost every single time on those credits.
When I was at school, there was a mix-up in the register when I was in like year 3, I think. So I don't know what the equivalent would be for America, but my surname is Cluett, starts with a C. But there was a mix-up, and for that first term, I was at the bottom of the register. And I hated it because I was so used to being like, they call a register at the start of class, and I was so used to like, they get like 4 or 5 names in, and I just check out. I had to pay attention for the entirety of the whole. I felt my heart went out to Simon Young, who had been bottom of the register for years, and then I'm there just now one below him now. And I was you have to pay attention this whole time. It really threw me off for that first term. I don't think I ever quite recovered.
Oh man, that's sad. I'm sorry.
Fine.
I'm Hoffmeyer, so I was kind of just in the middle. Yeah. I'm always used to it. I'll get called eventually. I'm not Z, so I'm happy.
We'll get there.
Yeah. But I think this is fair. I mean, okay. All right. If you had to do cast in order of MVP, like cast in order of who put in the work, you got to give Tanya's clear number 1.
Yep.
But I think you either got to give Emerson or Bren second.
100%. I would maybe go with Bren. I was gonna say he's around longer, but he doesn't enter the film at the start, does he? He's not there from the off. So
true.
I'd maybe go Emerson, then Bren, then Nathaniel, then Mia, Spin, Nandi, because she's in it the most out of those five. Then it gets tricky. I might go Els above Bahari, because like Bahari, he's got the scene where he's like making fun of Spin and they're singing when he comes back with his catch.
He has a great shirt.
Actually, no, I'm going to keep Bahari. I'm going to drop Bahari down below Nandi, but keep him above the Mercs, and then Earl's Brown Chill.
I just love that Earl. Okay, I have a question. We know their names now. Obviously, we have looked at.
Yes.
Listen, we've looked at the credits a lot, but these. I don't think they would have had names if we watched this once.
Brown's name is said. When they talk about, because like when Brown died, they have that little seal gut scene where they're talking about how it wouldn't happen to them, and Lucas comes in and goes, "Oh, Brown was a good guy," but Shill and Earls could be anything. I don't think those names are ever said.
That's fair. And Earls, listen, I love what they do to his decapitated body, but Earls makes a pretty chump change move when Lucas says, "Hey, take care of him, Earls." And Earls walks over and just puts a severely injured Eugene Shaw into a headlock and then works his gut a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not the killer instinct right there. Earls, he's not a good mercenary. I'm just going to say that now.
Well, I've just checked, and Shill, his name is said 3 times in the script. Earls is never said. In the whole script, it never comes up.
Well, that's fair. All right. Now, okay. Like Earls.
Emma is said 52 times.
Wow. Yeah, she's clear number 1. I mean, Tanya Raymond put the work in this movie. Yeah. Just that's.
But Brown is said 9 times. Oh, okay. 8 of them are talking about him, and 1 of them is talking about James Brown in a funky James Brown way.
Still, the funky box.
Still, 8 times is impressive.
I gotta say though, I've really quite bonded with this cast as we've talked. I've bonded with all the casts as we've talked about these movies for so long. Now that we've the best credits, I would say, are what? Deep Blue Sea 1, then Deep Blue Sea 3, and then Deep Blue Sea 2, right?
Yeah. Deep Blue Sea 2 was uneventful and just kind of dull. Deep Blue Sea 1 is obviously amongst the best credits of all history because you have Has Like a Shark's Fin playing in the background. It's incredible. It's the best. Mm-hmm. And then this one, I like the effort put into the underwater stuff at the start, and then it's kind of generic credits after that.
And it does end with the worst font ever, Jay. Deep Blue Sea 3 font. I don't know what.
It's dull. It's nothing.
I hate. Listen, you want to be positive, but you just look at it, and it's so generic. And I don't think. Listen, I'm not a font master, right? Like, most likely to be a font master was not in my high school yearbook in 2001 when I had that. But no one cares about these font for Deep Blue Sea 3, right? No one cares.
No one cares. It wasn't even a first thought, let alone a second thought. They just typed out the credits, and maybe they accidentally put Deep Blue Sea 3 at the end. I don't know. But no intention was put into that final frame.
It's kind of a bummer because it's such a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will not be the last thing we talk about. But I think we've got it out of the way. We'll move on. We're never going to talk about it again. It's a boring shot. Done. Fine. So we have, speaking of the music playing behind Deep Blue Sea credits, we have a couple of songs. There's actually 3 songs in the credits here, in the credits of the film. One of them is Nakupenda Matoto, which is the song that Nandi and Bahari sing in Chapter 2 when Bahari comes out with a fish. And that's, by the looks of things, an original song created by Avamil Gonkwo, who plays Nandi. She just, my guess is she was just told, just sing something, make up a song. So Nakupenda Matoto, it means I love you baby in Swahili.
Whoa.
And the